Hello, my name is Dallen Haws from PlanYourFederalBenefits.com. Thank you for being here. It is going to be another great episode, so you are in the right spot. Today is about an automatic pay raise, right? Who doesn't love an automatic pay raise, especially in retirement? Well, there's lots of pros and cons with this one because this one is all about moving in retirement to a different state where you can save a whole ton of money in retirement, and in effect, it just might be like a pay raise. So there are two things that really affect how expensive it is to live in each state or even within cities, right? There can be huge differences. The first is the cost of living, where, as you know, especially if you are a Fed that lives in an expensive area, the cost of living can make a huge difference. Some places milk costs $4, other places $1.85, right? And you might say, hey, milk a couple dollars, on milk, whatever, I don't care. But just say that to the people that live in Manhattan, New York, where they pay on average, not the highest, on average, $4,000 to $5,000 a month in rent, right? So depending on where you choose to retire can mean thousands of dollars very, very quickly that come from, let's say, your pension, Social Security, your TSP. It's got to come from somewhere. And so where do you want to retire? What makes sense for you? And what does the cost of living look like when there can be huge swings depending on where you choose? Huge swings. Where some places rent $800, piece of cake, or a mortgage $800 for a pretty good sized house. Other places dramatically more, right? So you have to look at some of those things. Up in Alaska, maybe meats and hunting, if you're into that, are extreme. They're everywhere, right? It's a thing that everyone does. Licensing and all those things is super easy. Salmon fishing, all those things. But if you want to go get milk and fresh vegetables, now that is expensive. So what do you care about, right? You have to look at the things that you care about and then choose accordingly. And the second thing that you want to think about is taxes. If you live in a large city, let's say in LA, in New York, in these big, highly populated states, California, New York, all these places, you know that taxes can be a huge part of where your money goes every month, every year. It can be a huge thing where some states don't even have income taxes. Most states have some sort of taxes, whether that's sales tax or whatever. They have some sort of taxes. They have to pay their bills somehow. But there is huge swings when it comes to income taxes and even sales tax or taxes on, let's say, licensing for cars and all kinds of stuff, where it can make a huge difference where you pick to retire. And some states, they might have an income tax, but they don't tax your FERS pension. They don't tax your federal pension on purpose to attract retirees. They want retirees to move there, right? So they don't tax your pension. So some places like Florida, Texas, they don't tax your pension. Now, when it comes to Social Security, there are a handful of states that do tax your Social Security. Most states don't. And I don't have these states memorized, so let me use my let's see here. I gotta check. Okay, I am back. So the states that do tax your Social Security, there are 13 of them. I don't have this memorized. I know, shame on me. I need to get these memorized. The 13 states that don't or that do tax your Social Security are Connecticut, Colorado, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Dakota, Rhode Island, Utah, Vermont, and West Virginia. So all the other states do not tax your Social Security, but those do. So make sure you look at that in your retirement and say, okay, is it worth paying extra to live here? Because that is the decision that you are making. Now, with all this being said, as you know, retiring and choosing where to live is not just a financial decision. It's an emotional decision. It's a family decision. Where does your family live? Where does your friends live? How close do you want to be with them? Do you want to travel? Do you want to live close to a big town so you have an airport? All these things make a big difference, because let's say you move to a state with very low taxes, with a very low cost of living, but you want to do a bunch of traveling, so you have to drive a lot to get to airports, and it costs a lot of money just to do the things that you love, right? So you have to look at your whole situation. And of course, if you can move to a place with next to no taxes or with a very low cost of living, your retirement savings can go so much farther by making those decisions. But of course, it has to make sense for you, and it has to encourage the retirement that you want. It all has to work together to find the best solution for you. But of course, you inherently know that. We as people inherently know that it's not all about the money, but it makes a difference. What can maybe an extra $1,000 in lower cost of living, what can an extra $1,000 do in your retirement? What difference can that make? And if you look at that, most people don't think about it. Maybe they just want to stay in the same town they are, and that's fine. But for those that do think about it and maybe have less ties to the area that they're in when they're working, what makes the most sense for you? Maybe it does make sense to go live with your kids, but what if you moved another 10 miles across the state border and you saved loads in state income taxes, right? So what makes sense for you? And it depends where your income levels are, right? How much income are you gonna have in retirement? The more you have, oftentimes the more taxes you pay, right? So you have to look at all these different things and see what makes sense for you, regardless of where you're at, right? So I hope this was helpful. Hopefully this is a topic that maybe you didn't think about. Maybe you didn't say, hey, what if I move states? I could save money in retirement. Oftentimes we think, oh, if I move down to South America, I could save money, and that's true, right? It's very cheap to live there, but most people don't want to live out of the United States in retirement. Some people might, but it might not be an option for a lot of people. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was interesting. Let me know in the comments or anything else if there's any other topics you want me to cover that might be interesting and helpful for you during your career and in your federal retirement. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon. And again, thank you for making it to the end of my video, the end of my podcast. I hope this brought value to you and your life. My goal with this content is to bring as much value to as many people as I possibly can. So please, if you can, if this brought value to you, please show your support, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, comment, give me feedback about what you want to hear about, what you want to learn about, and how you can get more value out of this, and so that I can do the very best I can to make this the best channel for my viewers, for my listeners, the very best I can. So again, thank you for being here and investing in yourself and in your future. And I will see you next week.